Outstanding. Outstanding. Well, first and foremost, kind sir, I appreciate you accepting my invite. Thanks for being here to have a conversation with me.
Absolutely, brother. I appreciate the invite, man.
Oh man, listen, you know what? I can't not say a huge thank you to Uncle Stone. I love you and appreciate you, Uncle Stone, for helping to put this together, for the connecting the two of us.
Absolutely, you know? Absolutely. It's family there, man.
Yeah, absolutely, all day, Christopher. Yeah. I was thinking a little earlier, actually, after the second time we spoke, I says, Uncle Stone, Uncle George, I say, man, technically that means me, Christopher and I, the three of us are related. I'm an honorary family member, man.
You got that one. If you tight with him, you definitely tight with me. You know what I mean?
So what that means is that charisma, that charm that you guys have, that means that kind of, that a little bit of that's going to translate. You know what I mean? I might not have a bloodline, but I have the vibe. So I'm going to embrace that.
It's all good, man.
Hey, listen, how you doing, brother? How you feeling?
I'm good, man. It's a good day. You know what I mean? On the East Coast, a little chilly out, but at least the sun is out. It's a beautiful day, man. I'm feeling good.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. Good thing. Now, let's get right down to it. How old were you when you discovered that you wanted to go into the acting, into the entertainment?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. It had been like one of those things in the back of my mind even since I was a kid, really. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I was the only child. I was a not only child. I'll put it like that. I had two half brothers, but they were older than me, and I never lived with them.
Okay.
And then we moved around a bit, and one time I was living with my mom and I were living with my uncle, one of my Uncle George's other brother. His name was Earl.
Okay.
We lived with him, and my cousins were there. So it's kind of like I always fit in. I was like by myself, but I wasn't by myself. Okay. So, but the times when I was alone, a lot of TV and film, things like that would keep me occupied. And now, watching the actors, and I was always intrigued, watching, especially, when I was coming up, there were a few black faces that were on television, and I don't know, it just struck a chord with me when I would see them. I'm like, wow, look at that. Look at what they're doing, and you always wonder why nobody in your house was doing that. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Because you're looking at, they're doing it like, so how do you get there? You know what I mean? Because I don't know anybody else is doing it. You know what I mean? So it intrigued me as a kid, man. And I guess it lasted until I left school in Virginia State in was it 84? And I came home and started taking commercial classes then, and I enjoyed that. It actually seemed like I gravitated to it. So then I said, well, let me see what I really wanted to get into the acting. You know what I mean? So I started taking classes for scene studies and all that kind of stuff, and with different casting directors and then theater groups and whatnot. So it just took off from there. But by that time, I'm like in my early 20s. You know what I mean? So I really didn't get started as a kid. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting because it started when you were a kid, but you held on to that seed, and then also, continued to kind of grow and grow. And then when you got into your 20s, boom, you made it happen. What was your degree in when you went to college?
I was taking computer programming. It was, but I was into the arts still. I did talent shows. I used to sing in groups and all that stuff, man. And I think I showed you some of my artwork, so you see that. I was always an artistic individual. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So for me, it's all art. Everybody's trying to gear you toward the left brain, but I was using the right brain. You know what I mean? It was like it was one of those things. But I was always, always artistically inclined, man. I knew that about myself.
Okay.
Even if nobody else recognized it, I knew it. You know what I mean?
Okay. So you didn't have there was nobody when you were coming up, no cousins or anybody that was either off into the entertainment in respect in terms of with the music or with the art. Were you as an artist?
Well, it's strange. Like my dad actually used to play the piano. He played in church. Wow. He played in church. Okay. And growing up, my cousins and everyone used to tell me, yeah, your dad was in the group back in the day and they cut this record, you know what I mean? But when I came along, he wasn't into it when I came along.
Wow.
And it never kind of trickled over like, hey, let me show you this. It was never like, let me show you how I do this. So it was never anybody there to kind of guide me in that direction. You know what I mean? It's like, but I knew that my dad, as a matter of fact, there's another story. I have a somewhat distant cousin named Roland Hayes. I don't know if you remember him. He was he was a operatic type singer, trying to think of his name right now. He sang over in England and whatnot. He did, he was big. He was big time, and he had actually offered to take my dad on the road. These are stories that I heard because I wasn't even born then. But he had offered to take my dad on the road with him when he was younger. And my grandmother wasn't in. She's like, no, he can't go. So she denied my dad the chance to get out there and be introduced to that side of the entertainment industry. But yeah, so it's like the art's in the family. I already know that. As a matter of fact, my dad's brother was an upright bass player, and he taught music. Yeah, but it was like they never like pulled you in and said, hey, let me show you some things, because I wish they'd have done it now. When I look back now, man, that would have been great, but it didn't happen that way. It was kind of strange.
Wow. Now, so them seeing that you went the direction you did, you delved more into it. Mm-hmm. At that point, did they start having more conversations with you about it? Your dad and your uncle, did they have more conversations with you about it, or ask questions, or start telling you, yeah, man, when I was your age, I used to? Or did the conversation ever start to happen?
I talked to my Uncle James a lot, because he, like I said, he started teaching music and whatnot, and but it was never like, stories about on the road and what they had to do and all that kind of, they never got into that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? But I'd seen enough movies and watched enough and read enough about, the entertainment industry to know pretty much what the road is like anyway, so I could look at my uncle and say, yeah, I could tell, I know my uncle was doing his thing, you know what I mean? Because like I said, my dad had backed away from it tremendously. By the time I came up, he was, he, like I said, he played in church. And he was singing church, you know what I mean? He had a baritone voice, and he, like I said, he could have went on the road with Roland Hayes back in the day. He had that kind of voice, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. I tell you what, you are an extremely talented brother. I mean, so your influences as it relates to the music would be your dad and your uncle. Who would your influences have been in terms of your artwork creation as well as your acting, if not acting in your family, because that wasn't particularly something that did. Who did you see? Like, was it with Jim Kelly? Who did you see in the back of the day?
Oh man, I saw so many people. But now it's funny you say that, because like the older I get, the more I realize I can't even narrow it down to one or two. It's like it was so many of them that I watched, and I didn't realize how much they were influencing me then. Okay. And now being in the industry and seeing how hard it is to get to work, I have respect for all of them at this point. You understand what I'm saying? Because I see it. I see the struggle. Of course, got the Sidney Poitier's, the Bill Cosby's, Richard Roundtree. Oh man, you know what I mean? Bernie Casey. I used to watch Bernie Casey. Remember Bernie Casey?
Oh yeah.
With John Amos, of course. Calvin Lockhart. I used to like his work. You know what I mean? Calvin Lockhart. Trying to think, it's just so many, man. I can go over, the comedians along, like Richard Pryor and Red Fox and all that, all those guys were like influential, because you watched them and they were out there entertaining, you know what I mean? And they had character and charisma about them, you know what I'm saying? So those things, they read, to me, they just stuck in my mind. I guess, as you get older, as I got into the industry more, you start studying their styles and things that you like about certain actors. And because there were a lot of white influences that I liked as well. You know what I mean?
Sure, of course. Talent is talent.
The Robert De Niro's and all of those, Al Pacino. What's the guy from England, man? I love this guy too, man.
Sean Connery, is it? Or?
Well, I like Sean Connery. Shaker not stirred.
Connery, I think, was Scottish. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Shaker not stirred.
The accent, cuzzo. Maybe Anthony Hopkins, was he from England?
I believe so. I like him too. Anthony Hopkins is a brilliant actor too, man. He really is, man. It's quite a few. It's some really good actors out there. I mean, because we got the Denzels out here doing their thing now and all that. So we have quite a few excellent actors from our background.
Absolutely,
who are doing the work. So I mean, that's all influential and it all helps, man. And and you take it. You take what you get. It's really funny because nobody's going to do what you do the way you do it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So watching all these guys do their work, you take what you can get from them, but you have to realize you still got to make it your own. It can't be what they do. You know what I mean? It's you know, but you watch them and they still inspire you because you see them reaching inside and bringing out what they know that they've lived through. You know what I mean? Because that's what you got to bring to your work.
100%. Yeah. Now, you've done TV and film. I mean, television side of it, Homicide, Life on the Street, General Hospital, The Wire, Law and Order, SVU, Heroes, Law and Order, Criminal Intent, Blue Bloods, House of Cards from the film side, Ocean's 11, The Bourne Legacy, 1982, Creed.
Wow. It's been that much, huh?
listen. That's not even scratching the surface. I just picked a few out to call you know. So what would you say is your favorite? What do you favor the television aspects of it more or the film side of it?
I kind of like both. Okay. I like both. It's, you know, it's all work. It's the same work. You know what I mean? It's just, you know, it's the schedules are different, and you know, like TV is a lot more hurried and rushed. You know, especially if, you know, if you're working on a series and you have, you know, several episodes to do, you'll see how the scripts come and you got to get ready for this one, bap. So you're jumping and you're running and you're making sure you're on point and all that, because it's a lot quicker. But film, you'll get the script ahead of time. You get to learn your scenes. By the time you get to it, you know, you marinated in it so that you're really ready to rock. You know what I mean? Okay. So yeah, so it's a little different, you know. But I like them both. I just like the work. You know what I mean? Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Now, you've produced some things too. 3 episodes of Underground Kings. You produced But Deliver Us from Evil. In terms of the production aspect of it, tell me more about that. Tell me about, are there big differences between the television production aspect of it and the film production aspect of it?
Yeah, well, I the Underground Kings, we started off as we were doing it as a web series at first, but and that. Yeah, it's different. It's all of it's like how can I tell you how I can break down the difference between the film and the TV? It's the same thing. It's about having a good, efficient unit, a group of people on the production side. You know what I mean? You have above and below the line, but you gotta have your DPs, your directors. You got to get all these people in line in order to get things together. And the hardest part about all of it is making sure you got the funding. And the funding is it. If you don't have the money, you can have as many people in the circle as you want, but ain't nobody working until they know they're getting paid. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then the distribution factors too. I mean, now distribution has changed a lot with all these streaming services, and it's a little easier, I think, now. You know, as long as you have a product that the streaming services or distribution models will like, you know, that they think it sells, you can pretty much get almost anything put out nowadays. I mean, and I have to admit, sometimes I see stuff on there, I wonder how it got there. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, but there's a need for content. You know what I mean? There's a big need for content now.
Agreed, 100%. Yeah. What would you say is your proudest moment so far in working in entertainment?
Well, yeah, the movie Loving was, I really enjoyed doing that one. That was about the interracial couple that got married in Virginia and got kicked out of state because it was illegal. It's a true story. Yeah, it's called Loving. Ruth Negga played the lead in there, and Joe Edgerton played the husband. It was she was a black girl who married a white man in Virginia in 1958, and it was illegal at the time. Sure. And it, you know, just the importance of, you know, watching how society in some ways still hasn't changed, you know what I mean? And it wasn't that long ago that it was illegal. You're talking about 1958, that wasn't that long ago, you know what I mean? So you know, that was a really a pleasure to work on that project, just because of the, you know, the social significance of the movie. This actually, I have a project that's coming up soon that I don't know if I got my camera right. Can you read that right? Does that say The Calling?
The Calling, yeah.
Yeah. It could have been bad. I didn't know it was flipped in that, but anyway.
I caught it immediately. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually going to air on Peacock on November 10th, and that's a really, I think it's going to be an interesting series. Okay. I did several episodes on that, and I enjoyed. You know, I think I like each project that I work on. I like. You know what I mean? Because, you know, I get to be a different individual. I get to dig in and create a character that is only on paper, right, at the time. You know what I mean? So I cherish the fact that I get a chance to and the opportunity to bring what I can to whatever I'm working on. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I don't know. I'm trying, you know, oh boy, it's been some, I mean, The Wire. I mean, The Wire was great. You know what I mean? I got it, you know, that was a project when I got on there. I wasn't even sure it was going to be a recurring role. I mean, they said it was possible. Okay. And then it, you know, it turned into 12 episodes, man. So that was beautiful. You know, it's a blessing. Yeah.
Sure.
You know?
Now, would you say that you gravitate towards more roles that get away from who Christopher is and how Christopher is? Like, for an example, if you were known as Mr. Nice Guy and always smiles and laughing, do you think that you would gravitate towards roles that were villainous, or were you like a complete opposite, or does it make a difference in that sense?
I want to be well-rounded. I don't want to get stereotyped and pigeonholed. But the industry, like a lot of times I find the industry, you know, when you're not in control of the project, you know, all you're doing is trying to find work. They pigeonhole you because they see you as a certain person and they cast you in those roles, so it doesn't give you an opportunity to stretch out as much as you like to. Sure. You know what I mean? So that part is can be a little frustrating. Because I want to do Training Day. You know what I mean?
Nice.
You know what I mean? Because I come from the hood. I ain't gonna front. You know what I mean? I'm from Chester, Pennsylvania, man. And it's not Disneyland. You know what I mean? It's beautiful people there, just like everywhere in the world. But you know, there is that part of society that you know we grew up through. Right. You know. Right.
Yeah. Who would you say were some of your favorite people to work with in film and in television? You gave the project that you enjoyed the most. The project you were most proud of thus far was Loving Is Film. What would you say is the project you enjoyed the most as it relates to television? What person or people were your favorite people to work with in TV and then in film?
Oh, wow. I like that. Okay. That's a good question, bro.
Thank you.
You're doing your homework. All right.
Gotta do it. Yeah.
In film, wow. I will tell you this story. I worked with, I did had a couple scenes with George Clooney. I had one in Ocean's 11 that got cut. Then I worked with him again in what's the name of the movie? Michael Clayton.
Okay.
And George, I'm gonna tell you, man, and I've heard it before, but I've seen it firsthand. He's got to be one of the most genuine individuals to work with, man.
Okay. Nice.
The second day on the set, I had got a call that my oldest brother had passed away.
I'm sorry.
And I needed a minute to try to walk it off because we still had some stuff left to shoot that day, and I said one of the PAs came out to me and I asked him to let the director know what happened. Just give me a few minutes. Sure. And George came back to me and said, "Hey, look, man, if you want," he said, I can shut the set down today and you can go ahead home and we can come back and shoot this another day."
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you know what production value is on a set, but when they're already set and got everybody in place, all the background, the directors and everybody there to shoot these scenes, shut that down and go somewhere else and do something else and come back and shoot that is, you know what I mean? I was like, so for him to even offer that, you know, is an indication of the character that he possesses, man. George is really, I mean, he's a good dude. We had already been talking the day before, and he remembered working with me on Ocean's 11. So, you know, we chopping it up, man. We having a good time talking, you know. And then when that happened, man, he was like, "Hey, look, if you want, you know, you can go head home." And and I told him, I said, "Well, my brother knew I was coming here today, and that situation is going to be there when I get there. So let me just finish doing what I got to do." But I just need time to walk it off. You know what I mean? But George Clooney, man, man, hands down right now, man. I mean, I work with some great people, but him, Ruth Negga was beautiful, man, and so was Joe Edgerton and Loving, man. They were, I mean, just genuine good people, man, and you like to see that, you know what I mean? Because
for sure,
you know, a lot of times people reach a certain level, man, and I think they forget their true humanity and who they really are and what got them there. You know what I mean? Sometimes, you know what I mean? But when you see people who don't forget, man, I think that's great. Matter of fact, I worked with Eric Roberts recently on an independent project.
Oh, man. Wow.
And I've worked with him a couple times, and this time we really got a chance to really talk, man. And man, what a great guy he is, man.
Wow.
Yeah, people don't know, until you get around him, man. He's grade A. Yeah, I mean,
Eric been around for a long time.
Yeah, too. Yes, he has. Now on TV side, of course, the guys I work with on The Wire, Glenn Turman, Bob Wisdom, Isaiah Whitlock, man, all those guys, man, you want to talk about having fun. Those guys, it was beautiful working with them, man. I'll never forget those days, man. Never forget that, man.
That's cool. That's cool because it's one thing to do something that you love in doing that, but to do something that you love also with good people or people that love the same thing.
Yeah. Frankie Faison too. I can't forget Frankie. Frankie was fun. Frankie was one of them cats that you like when it's your turn, it's your close up. Frankie be making faces over on the side, trying to mix you up. Yeah. He was fun. He was fun to work with, though, man. It was cool. It was really cool.
Wow. now, from we talked about the dynamic of the entertainment in terms of your family when you were coming up, your dad, your uncle.
Right.
Now, currently, in terms of your wife and your children, is your wife a creative as well? Are any of your children creatives, or did some of maybe a couple children took some of your creative attributes? A couple like your wife's, or one or two of them are a meld of you both. How does that dynamic work out?
Yeah. It's funny you say that. My two youngest, I say two youngest daughters, is the second and the third child. They are artistic too. They draw and whatnot. And matter of fact, my youngest daughter, she likes to paint. My son as well. He cracks me up because he dabbles. He'll just sit there and just fidget around, and you look at it and go, man, that's really good work. I don't know why he's just playing around with it. Just so you can see he does it. But he's he's the rapper in the family now, though.
Okay.
So he's pursuing a rap career, and like the rap has changed from when I was in school. So when I listen to it now, sometimes I can't get all the message, you know what I mean? But the girls, they listen to it and say, no, he's brilliant. I'm like, all right, that's all I need to know. As long as y'all backing him up, you know what I mean? Because I couldn't be a good judge of it right now, you know what I mean? Because rap has changed so much since when I was coming through, you know what I mean? Yeah. But the kids, they have it, you know what I mean? I see they have the bug. Matter of fact, my second oldest daughter, she likes to dance too, man. She's got a lot of, the rhythm and the whole nine. She really gets into it. So they have it. Yeah, they have
all of them. Okay. And each of them are pursuing it to a certain degree or another.
Yeah, to a certain degrray. Yeah, I mean, even if it's just a hobbyish to the girls. But like I said, my son's going all out for the rap. He's really in it, and so I'm, all I can do is back him. You know what I mean? I got you. I'll support you, man. I know how hard it is in any of these industries. You know what I mean? So sometimes I wish I could talk him out of it. Like, yo, man, you sure you want to, because I don't know if somebody should have talked me out of it. You know what I mean? Because it's just rough, man. It's and the things you have to deal with, man. And but I think the older I get, the more I understand that a lot of it is your thought processes and what you believe inside. You know what I mean? You can't let the outside exterior influence your true self and what you feel about life and what you want out of it, because you speak your own truths. You know what I mean? So,
for sure.
So as long as you keep yourself on that path and you don't let any negative thoughts or outside influences come in and destroy or kill your dream. You know what I mean? Because that's what happens. That happens to a lot of people. It happens to a lot of people, man. So
now, do you find, because of the fact that coming up, being a creative initially when you were a kid into your early 20s, where you got that solid start, do you find yourself to be extra supportive of your children as it relates to the arts because of the fact that you didn't necessarily have it the way that you wished you had or needed it when you were coming up, despite the fact that you didn't have that push from other people? You pushed yourself. You're in a position now as a father, a mentor, teacher to your children. Do you find that you give them that extra push, or do you find that you're super supportive, or how would you say that you come across to them with that?
Yeah, I'm supportive. I don't shoot down any dreams, man. Anything that you want to do, I just tell them to believe in themselves and do the best that you can, with your abilities. do the best that you can to follow whatever goal you want to set for yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, even with my son, like I said, I see what he's doing, and I know it's hard, you know what I mean? So, I try to let him know if you need to talk, but my son's kind of quiet, he's got the same birthday as Michael Jackson. So you know how Michael could be real quiet like that. He's real quiet around the house. Mm-hmm. But when he gets in his studio and goes out there and rapping, he's rapping. I'm like, man, in fact, when my wife and I found out that he was rapping, we were like, who are you talking about? You talking about that the quiet kid? You know what I mean? We like, yo, you got to be kidding me, man. So yeah, so he's got that thing about him, man. He's really quiet, but once he goes out to perform, it's a whole different. His alter ego takes over, I guess.
Okay.
But I support him 100%, man. I don't push. I believe in people finding their own road, because
right.
I believe now that our children come through us, not from us. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So they're on their own journey. You know what I mean? So I can't push on you what I wanted for myself or what I think you should do, because I know everybody's got their own path to follow. So I'm supportive in that way. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. Now we touched on, of course, the entertainment with the acting, film, and television. Excuse me. We didn't touch on the music as much per se. We touched on a bit of it. Your uncle and your dad.
Yeah.
You said you sing. Do you play instruments also?
At one time, I did play the drums for a while. In my earlier years, I ended up getting away from it. But I did. I was in several different groups. I used to sing in talent shows in Virginia State University. Man, we used to have a ball down there. Me and a couple guys. I still stay in touch with them too.
Okay.
Then I came home and I did. We had a group. We were trying to record some stuff, man. But then the music industry changed. Like, cause I'm I shouldn't be giving my age and everything, but I mean, I'm not really young. Okay, so I grew up on old school R&B. You know what I mean? Earth, Wind and Fire, the Isley Brothers, the Shy Lights, Stylistic. I mean, I came up under the 70s, 80s music, pretty much. Right. You know what I mean? Right. So when things started to change and they started getting to like a whole different vibe, man, it kind of threw me off. So I kind of stepped back away from the industry. Okay. And I think that's probably why I ended up focusing on the acting at that point, to be totally honest. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's interesting that you mentioned age, because it's like, to have a conversation with you the past couple times we spoke, mm-hmm. the conversation we're having now, you it's like you're well read. You had a kind of vibe where you could talk to us like a 4-year-old or a 100-year-old. It's like you got this relatable vibe about you, man.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome. With the younger crowd and the older crowd, who would you say helped? I mean, of course. I mean, who would you say helped mold you in terms of your personality or your ability to be able to meld and connect with people? Because that's not something everybody could do, Christopher, especially nowadays in terms of with the social media and people forgetting how to communicate. Brother, you seem like an excellent communicator, and it seems like you could have a conversation with anybody. Who would you attribute, what person or what group of people would you attribute your ability to have that? I submit to you that that's a gift, man.
Oh, wow. I appreciate that. Well, Pop Stone. He's a pretty versatile speaker. You know what I mean? He can speak to almost anyone too. Him, and I actually, I guess I have to give most of it to him, to be totally honest, when it comes to that ability to just relate to people. You know what I mean? I think because I was a real shy kid. I was shut down I was like real shy, man. It took me a while to actually come out of that. But it's funny. I guess when I started to become more extroverted, I didn't realize it, until I got to school, and like one of my roommates, man, I don't even want to use the term that he used to call me, but I used to like, we used to go to the parties, and I was like, I talked to everybody. I knew as a matter of fact, I have friends now that, that are friends to me here, but they wouldn't communicate with each other, but I communicate with all of them. You know what I mean? Wow. It's kind of weird, like I cross lines with friendships that other people can't seem to get through. You know what I mean? I don't.
Yeah.
And I think it's primarily because I always look for the good in people, man. I believe there's good in everybody. Sure. I don't get, everybody has their faults, they have their issues, they have their problems and whatnot, but that's not my concern. Those are things that they got to work on. You know what I mean? So I'm looking for whatever's good. You know what I mean? If I can find it, I'm good. That's rap. That's talk. That's, you know what I mean? That's communicate on that level. You know what I mean? So I don't get caught up in those things that people make. They make walls in between each other. You know what I mean? They try not to break those. Nah, I don't have time for that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I tell you what's kind of cool, man. And that's the thing. I've said it in my life. I've said it when I had the opportunity to talk with other people. Mm-hmm. People see what you've accomplished, Christopher. They see what you're doing, and they don't see the struggle. They don't know the difficulties that you endure, and just even what you said a little bit ago about how you were shy. And look at you. Who would think, okay, coming from being shy, and now you perform and you're doing stuff that's putting you out in the front of things to be seen. You know what I mean? So it's like that in itself. It's a good thing, and it's good for people to see that. I enjoy when people share. I won't say struggle, but vulnerabilities, because they may look at you and see how talented you are, but they don't know the sacrifice. They don't know the price you paid to be able to be as creative as you are, be it in the entertainment or be it with your artwork. You know what I mean? People see the end result, but they don't see the process. So when you share how you were shy, that's sharing a part of the process. So for somebody that's shy that may see this, that's hope, man. And a lot of things begin with that hope. So I appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate everything, but that in particular also.
Yeah, and it was, and I guess when I look to see, you're making me go retrospect on a lot of things too when I'm thinking about it, because I know how shy I was and bashful, but when there were things going on, I remember my mom used to get upset with me because every time there was something going on at school, I wanted to be a part of it, even though I was shy. There was some kind of performance we had to do. This is when because actually I was living in Westland, Michigan, and at this time. Yeah. And Fraser Elementary School. I remember the school and everything. And they had a show that they were doing, and I think the Penguin was out there. And you know what I mean? And they wanted all the kids to come out and try out because we had to do a dance routine and whole nine. And man, I blew that thing out. They had me center stage doing that thing, man. I'm talking about like 4th, 5th grade, man. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah. So I guess the entertaining part was always there, even though I was bashful. But if you put me out there, I'm gonna get it. You know what I mean? Right. So that's kind of like, now you're really making me look back. I mean, seriously, you're making me look back and in retrospect and see that this is not something that just happened overnight. You know what I mean? This has been going on for a long time. Man.
Hey man, enjoying the journey. You know what I mean? Knowing where you journey from and to, it keeps it all into perspective. And it's interesting listening to you describe yourself with the 4th, 5th grade with the Penguin deal and talking about your son that's going into rapping. I mean, I kind of see where he, you know what I mean? I kind of see that where you might have been bashful and shy, but when it was time to do the dance in 4th, 5th grade, you got down and did your thing center stage. So
exactly.
With him, you and your wife observe him walking around and just being chill and cool, and then he turns into somebody else in the studio. So
exactly, man. Yeah. They say the apples don't fall far from the tree, right?
Yeah, there you go. Hey, that's the rumor. That is the rumor. Christopher, what would you say are some aspirations that you have as it relates to the film and the television industry, maybe even with the art and the music? What aspirations, what things further down the line would you like to accomplish that you already have not, as if you haven't done enough already?
Well, I did, within the acting, I still have room. I still have, that I haven't reached that pinnacle that I've been trying to get to yet. And like I said, a lot of that, I guess partially is due to having to rely on the work to come to you. You have agents and managers that submit you for the work, and you wait for that right role to come. And then, the process is even if it comes and you read and you do a great job, but then you still have to deal with, whether a casting director is going to hire somebody else because they with a certain agent, or this person's been out there longer, even though you may have done a better job, but they need that name instead of you. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Because that's why I run into that a lot now. It's more like a lot of times if I lose a role, it's to somebody who's probably more of a household name than myself. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? So
I do.
Yeah, it's like staying in room only, man. You got to squeeze through as best you can to get the work, man. And that's where I'm at now. I just got to break that plane right now. You know what I mean? That's where I feel I am. Where I just got to break through that one last layer. You know what I mean? To get to a place where I feel like, okay, that's because then you can start writing your own destiny almost. You know what I mean? It's kind of like you're there. Well, I mean, I don't know if you've seen what's that? Viola Davis. You know, she speaks about it a lot. You know, like the work that she's done, but where she is in comparison to other actresses of other ethnicities. You know what I mean? Like she's still struggling, even though she's doing, like, from our viewpoint, she's there. You know what I mean? Right. But she's still saying that, but she still has things that she wants to accomplish and get past. And so, I understand where she is with that. I do. I understand. I mean, I've been doing this now. I've been in the Screen Actors Guild for 25 years, man.
Congratulations. Wow.
Yeah, 25 years, man. So that's a lot of your life, you know what I mean? It is. Waiting for the boat to come in, so to speak. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I do want to produce and write more stuff, probably for myself. I mean, at some point, I may have to do it on my own instead of waiting for it to come. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, we've been having that conversation quite a bit around here lately. You know what I mean? So that could be definitely something that's going to be pursued soon, very soon.
Okay, it's cool. It's really cool that you said that, because it just makes me think about Uncle Stone, and he put me up on some things to read years ago. And one of the books was How to Win Friends and Influence People. Really good book. Yeah. And something that I learned from that book that I read years ago is people do things for people that they like. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, and we talked about this as it relates to you, brother. Big Cuzzo, you likable, man. Your likability factor is like you got Dwayne Johnson likability. You know what I'm saying? You do. So people do things for people they like, and it seems to me that it's all about passage of time. You're doing the work. You've been doing the work, like you just said, 25 years with the SAG. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You've been doing the work. You've been consistent, and it's only a matter of time. All you have to do is keep doing what you've been doing. And sooner than later, at some point, somebody is going to see. Somebody's going to want you to be. They're going to want you around, not only because you're talented, but because of what you bring in terms of this, man. That same thing you said that Clooney communicated to you when your brother passed, man. And that meant something to you. Yeah. You having that means something to other people. Me having that theoretically is what helped the relationship that Uncle Stone and I have. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
You and I both having that is what enables us to be able to have this conversation that we have. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I'm looking forward to what's coming because of, you know what I mean? I'm just saying,
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, though. I agree with everything you just said, man. I really do. Wow. Yeah. I tell you, man, you really making me look. You know what I mean? It's like a whole retrospect as I'm going all the way around this whole thing, because I've been doing a lot of, and that's funny. Because the pandemic actually started me into this thing about just looking back, and even doing what some people consider shadow work, going back and repairing things in your past to help build you up at this point right now, so you get rid of anything that was negative at all in your life, you know what I mean? And that brings light to you, you know what I mean? You get yourself from underneath anything that held you, you know what I mean? So I've been doing that a lot, and then what you're saying right now kind of equates to a lot of that too, man.
I'm just saying, call it like I see it, because I told you I'm family, so I got a small grain of some wisdom that Uncle Stone got going on. He did rubbed off.
I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. I can hear it. I'm like, okay, I can tell he's been around Pops, man.
Just saying, man, good stuff. It's in this wisdom, information, man. It's always applicable. It doesn't expire. It doesn't, like you have been, like certain aspects of style was good then, is good now. Aspects of wisdom is the same, man. You know what
Classic,
I mean? So,
I mean, yeah, it's classic wisdom, man. You know what I mean?
yes, yes, all day. Now, let me ask you, what advice would you give to someone that's experiencing a tough time in their life? What advice would you give? What encouragement would you give?
That's a genuine question there.
Hey.
I would say when you're experiencing rough times in life, it just take it, look for the lesson in it. Don't let it make you feel any less than who you truly are. I believe that there's nothing in this world, on the physical level of this world, that you can add to yourself that makes you any greater than you were the day you were born.
Okay.
Understand who you are, and in retrospect to God, the universe, and everything around you. Understand that you're a part of all of it, and you're never out of place. You're where you're supposed to be. There's a lesson for you to learn. Be happy in that. Know that it's going to work out. Because we always worry about, oh my God, this thing. Oh, is this going to work out? It always works out. Know that it always works out. Think about how you're going to feel once it works out. Don't get caught up in that very moment that you're feeling bad in.
Right. Okay.
It's easier said than done. You know what I mean? So you might need a support group around you, some people that understand and will keep you lifted and keep you elevated while you're working through it. But stay there. Just stay on the positive side. I mean, happiness and sadness are two dimensions of the same thing. They're emotions. You know what I mean? Which way are you going to put your emotions? Which one are you going to follow? It would say where thoughts go, energy flows. Keep your thoughts in the positive place, man. That's where your energy will be. It'll take you there to keep you there. So that's what you got to do to get through those rough times.
100%. What encouragement or what advice do you wish? Think of a point in time in your life where you maybe were insecure or you were going through a circumstance. Okay. Any point, it could be from the time that you were 5 until whatever. But think of a point in time. Okay, you got it. What advice do you wish someone had shared with you then that they didn't?
Brother. I've had some really dark times to the point where I don't even know if even talking to me would have helped.
Okay.
Because my mom, who's Pop Stone's sister, passed away when I was 13.
I'm sorry. Wow.
Yeah, and prior to that, during the years prior leading up to that, her friend was trying to help take care of me, and I'm not want to get into it. Was
that's fine.
It was. I'll just say it was physical abuse.
Okay.
I was a kid. I was a kid. And yeah, it was rough, man. I mean, I came out of that, man. I was suicidal. A lot of people don't even know I was suicidal. You know what I mean? I didn't know. And because my mom and father had been separated, but way before that, and and then you, once you get to a place where you say, well, I'm gonna tell them what happened, and they say, well, you must have did something to get that. You know what I mean? Like they would brush it off. It wasn't like, well, let me find out what happened. It just, right. You know what I mean? So as a kid, I didn't understand any of that, man. You know what I mean? And yeah, it was rough. That was some rough stuff, man. And it's all good now. Like I said, I can talk about it. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing. That's what I'm tripping on. It's like, brother, you have no idea. I mean, if nobody else, what you're saying is encouraging to me, and I know other people will be encouraged as well, because again, we hear, within our community and with what the media pushes, all you hear about is bad, gloom and doom. So for you to come on here and speak from the perspective of being shy and bashful and going through turbulent times in your childhood, it's like, man, that's when we develop it, man. What we experience in that part of our life makes us to who and how we are. A big part of why I'm able to communicate the way that I am, is because of the low self-confidence, low self-esteem aspect of things that I experienced growing up, not feeling good about myself. By the graces of God, with his help, I was able to turn that around and get around a person here and there, that encouraged me to cultivate that. So to be able, people need to hear about those things, man. They need to hear that hope. They need to hear that there's hope, as opposed to just that person that was shy and they were bashful and they just gave up. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah.
The other side of that encouragement, man. That's what's needed, man. You know, it's power in your words. I've had strangers tell me some of the nicest things that I've ever heard in my life.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Wow. When I'm feeling low, or when I was going through, somebody may just say, you know what, Ken, this, that, and the other. You know, from the time that I was a child into manhood, you know, struggles don't stop, brother. You know. And,
yeah, you know what, and you make a good point there, because I mean, I don't know if I say it enough, or if I've done a lot of interviews, so I think I have brought up or danced around it a bit, but sometimes it's important to tell that story, because there are people in situations right now that don't know if they can see their way through it.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying. So it is important to make sure that you let people know, no, this hasn't been, you know, an ice skating thing for me. You know, it hasn't been smooth. You know what I mean? The mountain's been rough. You know, and as the old folks say, if the mountain wasn't rough, you couldn't climb it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? If it was smooth, you know what I mean? It was smooth, you couldn't climb it. So
valid point.
Yeah. But I think people need to hear that. They need to understand that, the people that you see didn't necessarily have it that easy, man. I remember, come on, man. I remember being in the projects as a kid, man. You know what I mean? After my parents divorced when I was a kid, and you know, I go all the way back. I remember when I was about 2 years old, and the only reason I remember this is because it frightened me, because we lived in an apartment over top of a drugstore, man, and there was rats running through that apartment building, man. I asked my dad years later after I got married. I said, Dad, I gotta ask you this. I said, because I keep having these images ever since I was a kid about rats that were in that apartment. He said, man, he said the rats were so big. He said, I set the trap just to slow them down. He said, I had to take a hammer to finish killing them. Yeah, bro. And I was a baby. You know what I mean? I'm in the you know what I mean? So I remember, you know, we talking humble beginnings, brother.
For real. You know, and it's one thing to have humble beginnings and still have the connection to where it helps you to be humble and to walk in gratitude, as opposed to how some people, they may have humble beginnings and they get away from that and they make big changes that don't make better. You know what I mean? So that's, that's good stuff, brother. Good stuff.
Right.
Good stuff. Well, listen, Christopher, I ain't gonna hold you any longer, my man. I thank you again so very much for taking this time to have a conversation with me. Means the world, good brother.
Hey, man, I appreciate you asking, brother. I really do, man. I'm glad to get to know you, man. You're a heck of a guy, man.
Wow.
I'm just watching you. I'm listening to you, man. You're a stand-up brother, man. I appreciate you having me on the show, man.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you. You know, it goes back to what I said, man. You know, Uncle Stone ain't gonna have you talking to no knuckleheads.
No, I know that. That's real talk right there.
If we gonna talk, you gotta know I'm at least had good sense, man. Anything it's a bonus in addition to me having good sense, man. Thank the Lord for giving it to me. I sure appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, man. You enjoy the rest of your day, and I will be in touch.
Okay, brother. Take care, man. Thanks a lot.
You too. Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right. Bye-bye.